G'day from Australia. You're speaking with Narelle, and I thought I would take you through the unlimited vacation package at Tokyo Disney. If you have been looking into accommodation and park options, you may have come across the vacation package as an option, and you might be thinking about booking that in the near future. So this video is really just taking you through the booking process. I will show you the screens in a moment, but I just wanted to explain a few things before we get started. These are my photos from my Disney trip a few years back at Orlando in Florida, if you're interested. But definitely one thing I would suggest is that you have at least a couple of devices, if not more, before you start to book, because you can get kicked out very easily from the booking system. And in fact, I did. So I had hooked up my mobile phone and also my desktop, and I was 2.5 hours into the queue, which I know is ridiculous, but that's how long it took because I was a bit late in getting in. And I got kicked out from my mobile phone after I got halfway through the booking screen of selecting my content. And so it was just lucky that I had my desktop that was ready to go in about half an hour from that time. So basically, I think I logged in my mobile phone about half an hour before my desktop. Ideally, it's good to log into them at the same time so you don't have to wait the in-between time, but for one to come out of the queue. So definitely that's what I would suggest, is having at least a couple devices, if not more. 2 devices was enough for me, I felt. I did get through on the desktop the first time round without too many dramas. But then, when we tried to amend the content, we got kicked out on the desktop and had to try again, which we did do the following morning, but there weren't as many options available that time. So this was really just a practice run, and I would strongly recommend that you do practice before you get on for the first time. We practiced a month before our intended booking, just so that we could get a feel for how competitive it was. And look, I will definitely affirm that it is a very competitive booking process, especially, if you want your best choices for restaurants and things like that. If you're into that kind of thing and you do want to go to the restaurants at the parks, then yes, getting in early to book at the required time, which is usually 3 p.m. Japanese Standard Time. And just be careful of the conversion, because I think I went up an hour instead of going back an hour or something like that, and it turned out that my timing of it wasn't quite right. So definitely check that you understand when to. My other tip would be just to try and have a go at getting in about half an hour before that time. So this is showing you the screen that you book. So once you get out of the queue, which is a little walking man that goes across the screen, you will be taken to that screen where you get to book the hotel that you want. So you'll have to put in the date that you want to go, the date of your stay, how many adults, how many children, that kind of thing. And then once you do that, it will bring up the hotels and you'll select the hotel that's available for that date. Look, it depends on how quickly you get into the booking or not as to whether you actually get to choose the one that you want. If your hotel is not coming up, it's probably because it's already been booked out and you're only left with the ones that are there on the screen. In which case, if you're flexible about your days, have a look at another date. Then it will take you to this screen where you start to select content. So once you've selected the room type that you want, then you go into the content. This is showing you that you can choose either popcorn or churros. Now that's as of November 2025. So sometimes they do change, the arrangements with the, those parts of the package that you get for free. So you get to choose between churros and popcorn. You don't get both. Then they ask you to start selecting your restaurants. You can choose no restaurant or no content if you don't want to book lunch and dinner at each of the parks. If you are, of course, the thing you need to think about is which restaurants are at which park, because you don't want to have to leave a park to go to another park that you're probably not going to get into because you don't have a ticket for that entry for that park to go to that other restaurant. So obviously think about the restaurants that you're going to be going to if that's something that you're interested in doing. I wanted to do that for my practice run because I wanted to get an idea of the cost difference between having restaurants included versus not having restaurants included. So here I'm selecting the one that I want for that option for that park. And I'm thinking about, okay, well, which ones are actually at that park? And then going with the one that I think is appropriate for that. And then you get to select a time. So if you get in a bit late, you're probably only going to have one option. So because this was one, I think this was the practice run that I did the following morning. So you can see there it only had one option. But when you get in there, at 3 p.m. Japanese Standard Time, you'll have a whole heap of selections potentially for those restaurants. Now, you also get to choose content for attractions. So even though you get unlimited passes, those unlimited passes don't cover you for every single ride at every single park. There are some rides that are not included. So for Disney Sea, for example, the ones that you're seeing on the screen now, Anna and Elsa's Frozen Journey, Rapunzel's Lantern Festival, and, Peter Pan's Neverland Adventure, or whatever it's called, you do not get those included in the unlimited tickets. And there are also some other ones that are not included either, which I'll show you later in this video. But you do have the option of booking them if you want to. They are optional. So you will see there it says no content at the top. You can actually choose that if you don't want to select them. If you select them, it is going to charge you more as part of your package. So if you're really, want to keep costs down to a minimum, then, maybe that's one of the things you don't select. But one thing I think strategically about choosing them is that they're secured for the time that you want. You don't have to worry about rushing on the day of your visit because these are 3 of the most popular rides at the moment. Now, whether that changes in the future remains to be seen, but for the now, at Disney Sea at least, they are extremely popular rides. So it's definitely worthwhile considering. You may still, from what I've been told, pay a little bit more than, say, paying for a priority access on the day of your park visit. But remember, you have to go into the park first before you can book your first ride. And so if you've already got a whole bunch of people that have secured rides through Happy Entry or because they got there at 6 a.m. to line up sort of thing, you may miss out on those rides altogether. Given that I'm only going to be at Disney Sea for one day, I don't want to miss out. So I don't mind if I have to pay a little bit extra money. I mean, I'm getting an unlimited package as it is, so I'm not afraid of paying a little bit of extra money. Yes, it is quite a big cost, but for me, it's more about I don't want to line up for hours on end for each ride. That's my biggest thing. And look, you might be lucky enough to get to a park where you don't have to do that. But the unlimited package for me felt like the best option for me based on my personal circumstances. Now, your breakfast option, you don't get any choice. You have to choose the breakfast. And usually it's at the hotel that you're staying in for your, for your check-in. So the breakfast, though, will be served on the checkout day. Just understand that it's going to be your second day for the unlimited package. You're not going to get breakfast on the first day because your check-in's not until later in that morning, that day anyway. So, once you get past all of that, then you will, I guess, come to a screen that asks you to, confirms your itinerary, which I'll show you in a minute when we get to that, and then it will show you what the amount is. Now, just be warned. If you have selected everything but then you want to change your mind, I would dissuade you against doing that. I mean, if you really have to because you clicked on the wrong thing, then do it. But just be warned that if you choose that make change option there on the right-hand side of the screen, there's every chance that you could get kicked out of the system. Now, this is the itinerary I was talking about that will show you what you've got. You'll see there at the very bottom, it says vacation package content, special attraction ticket, Tokyo Disneyland, and then Tokyo Disney Sea. They are your unlimited ride passes. You can ride the rides that are listed as many times as you want. If you really want to ride them more than once, you might just like one particular ride that you want to just keep riding all day. I mean, I think that might be a bit selfish, but anyway. You can do that with the unlimited package. You can ride all of the ones listed as many times as you want to. Obviously, there are ones that are not listed, so you need to be aware of that. And essentially, you know, you have to, I think, maybe think a little bit strategically about how you organise your rides, because if you've got the unlimited package, you know, you probably do have a little bit more flexibility in your timing of your day. I know that a lot of people sort of, you know, want to try and secure happy entry and things like that. For the unlimited package, I mean, I'm not sure that it's as huge a deal for those guests who have purchased that package. Because especially for Disney Sea, if you've already got the 3 key rides booked, there's not a lot that are not included, in all honesty. So, you know, you've got a pretty safe bet of getting onto the rides that you want. There are going to be some rides that you'll have to line up for, and you can't really get around that. But what I would suggest with that is that you maybe book, you know, those rides that you can book for times later in the day, and then ride the ones that you need to line up for earlier in the day when they might be less popular, or obviously choose less popular times of the day to ride those ones that you do have to line up for. This is just showing you some information about the costs for booking in November of 2025. So obviously it's only going to be for that time period. These may change if you're booking in a period after that. These are just showing some of the costs, and this is the unlimited package without any restaurants or without the 3 rides at Fantasy Springs. But it does include that breakfast because you can't opt out of that, remember? So that just gives you a little bit of an idea. I'm not going to go into the costs of everything because it's really going to depend on, you know, the costs including the restaurants, because it's really going to depend on which restaurants you choose. And, you know, there's so many different options there. One thing I will say is that, you know, definitely think about multiple devices. Think about checking out the website early on to make sure that you are familiar with the release dates for the packages. They tend to release them every second Thursday of the month, but then again, there have been some exceptions to that, so where they've released it on the first Thursday of the month. So it's either going to be the first Thursday or the second Thursday. These are the rides that are included in the package as of the November date. And, you know, obviously they're subject to those rides being available at that time as well, because if the ride goes down, well, then you can't ride it. So these are the ones that are not included, which I've listed for you. So hopefully that will help you to understand which ones you probably need to think about being a bit more strategic around if you do want to ride every single ride that you can. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea of what to expect from booking the package, and just really think about those rides that you're not going to get as part of the package. Some of those rides anyway, hopefully will not be too long a wait time for you to get onto them. I think most of the most popular ones are included, apart from obviously Disney Springs with the Fantasy Springs rides not technically being included in the pass itself, but remember that you can book them as part of your vacation package until, I guess, Tokyo Disney decides otherwise. You've just got to pay a bit extra for them. So have a think about those things, and good luck with all of your booking for your unlimited package.